We need to get some fabric for this. We want enough fabric, but we don't want too much fabric either. Just in general, almost all dining room chairs can be done in one 27 by 27 inch squares. Now you may not know this, but 27 inches is exactly 3/4 of a yard. 1 yard is 36 inches. 27 is 3/4 of a yard. Most of your bolts of fabric are approximately 54 inches wide. Sometimes they're a little bit wider. You may even get a 60 inch, but usually they're at least 54. Now if you divide 54 by 2, you get the magic number 27. Okay? So you can figure every 27 inches across the bolt of fabric, okay, you can get 2 chairs. So here's 27 inches, 1, 2. So there's 1, 2. Let's see if I can draw upside down. 4, 5, 6. So typically people have 6 dining room chairs. If you only have 4 dining room chairs, you only need 2 times 27. If you got 6, you need 3 times 27. If you have 8, you need 4 times 27. Okay? But 3 times 27 is exactly, if I can write upside down again, it's 81 inches. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but 81 inches is exactly 2 1/4 yards. I can't, let's see, can I write yard upside down? I'll try that. Ooh, I'm not doing too bad there. 2 1/4 yard. Okay, so obviously if you've only got 1 chair in this case, you just need 3/4 of a yard, but we'll only be using this right here. This will be excess. So maybe you can save that piece for another time. Alright, well today we're going to talk about cutting fabrics for dining room chairs that have a pattern. And you see here we have a beautiful pattern that we're going to put on a dining room chair. Actually not really, but we sort of will. The general rule is that you need 27 inches, which is 3/4 of a yard, of fabric. So that's what you need generally if you have a solid or a very low repeat fabric. For 6 chairs, 2 1/4 yards. The problem occurs when you have a pattern, because patterns have different repeats. They may have an 18-inch repeat, 27-inch repeat, 20-inch repeat, a 9-inch repeat, and sometimes you have to get a little more fabric than you had planned on, because you want to make sure that you have, let's say you have 6 dining room chairs, that you have 6 centers also. So let's take a look at this fabric here. I wonder what the repeat is on this fabric right here. So if I take a look, let's say at this gooseberry right there, and I take my yardstick and line it up to the center of that gooseberry, and then I follow it down until I get to the next center of the gooseberry. It looks like my repeat here is about 26.5 inches, something like that. So what we want to do, we're going to pretend like we have 6 dining room chairs. We want to find 6 centers. Now the first question is, what is the center? Sometimes with different fabrics it's very, very obvious. Well, that's the center. But on this one it's really not all that obvious. I mean, would the center be here or here or here or here? Well, the manufacturers help you out, because what they will do is they will put something that they consider at the center halfway across the bolt, and then also something halfway across that and halfway across that, to let you know or give you a clue what the center is. Alright, now this particular fabric, as you can see here from selvage to selvage, is 55 inches. Sometimes they're 54, sometimes they might even be 58 or 60, but this particular one is 55 inches. Now if we take 55 inches and go from 0 to 55, half of that is 27.5 inches. So right there's 27.5 inches. That's our center. Okay, so we are going to take our scissors and cut it exactly 27.5 inches right across there. I'm not going to do it in real life, but that's what you would do. Okay? So now where's your center? Well, it's half of 27.5, which is 13.5 and 3/4 inches. So that's right about here. So that means that your manufacturer believes that somewhere along that line should be your center. Likewise, if we go over to the right hand side, if this is 27.5 inches and we're going over to 55, halfway in the middle of that is 41.25 inches. Actually, that should say 1/4, I suppose, right? 41 1/4 inches is the halfway point. If you take 13 3/4 times 3, you'll get 41 1/4. So that's right about here. So again, the manufacturer believes something along those lines should be your center. Now you have latitude as to what your center is vertically. So you could say to yourself, well, I like this part of the line better, or I like that part of the line better. But at this point, you know something along this line would be a good choice for your center. So what you might do is take a sticker, maybe a penny, something that you can mark out 6 centers. So I'm kind of looking at this thing and I sort of like this arrangement right in here. I'm going to go over to 13 3/4 inches and I'm kind of thinking I'm just going to pick it. I'm going to decide that, let's see. I think I'll make the bottom of that little leaf right there, I'm going to make that my center. So I just take a little sticker there and make a mark. Okay? Now we go over to the opposite side and we're going to do the same thing. There's the same flower and I'll make a mark right here. That's going to be my center. Okay? So we have now 2 centers set up. I guess we could write 1 and 2 if you wanted to. Alright, now notice we have a little bit of waste right here. Our goal is to get at least 27-inch square for each dining room chair seat. So now we're going to come over here again. Okay, and here's our next one right here. So that should work pretty good right there for a center. And what the heck, we can walk over here and put our next center right there. We'll go over to this side. Right there. And right there. Alright, so let's see, that's center number 5. Ooh. Center number 4. That's center number 4. Center number 6. So what we'll do now, not in real life, but what we would do then, of course, we're going to cut straight down the center at the 27.5 mark, and then we'll find the halfway point between these 2 points, roughly a 27 inch. And we're also going to cut straight across the middle here, and then over here. So again, we're going to have a flower in the exact same spot centered on each of these 6 pieces. And then we're going to cut out each of these pieces. Okay? So that's how you go about doing it. You have to have a minimum of around 27 inches to do it. So on occasion, it could be you have a smaller repeat. Let's say you had a flower here, and then the next one's like right here. Well, you're not going to be able to get this one and that one out, so you'll have to go up to the next flower. The key is that you have to have at least a 27 by 27 inch square. So occasionally you'll have to skip repeats, and that means you have to use a little bit more fabric. So if we measure what we need on this actual piece of fabric here, what we get is 2.5 yards. So you need about 9 inches more than if you just had a solid. So you have to keep that in mind when you have a pattern, that you're going to need a little bit more fabric. You can go to the fabric store, have the clerk pull out the piece, and mark out 6 centers. Then they can measure it. Maybe it comes out to 2 3/4, then have them cut it. The key thing is you want to make sure you have enough to cover the number of chairs that you have. If you're ordering fabric over the internet, obviously you can't get together with a clerk and figure out your 6 centers. So what you have to do is to give yourself an allowance to make sure that you have enough fabric. If normally you needed 2 1/4 for 6 chairs, 2 1/4, well, in most cases, most places make you order at least in half-yard increments. So if you got a big repeat, I would go up to the next even yard. So instead of ordering 2 1/4 yards, go ahead and order 3. If you got a, say, a 27-inch repeat. If you had a really big repeat, like a 36-inch repeat, that doesn't happen too often. But if you did, you'd probably want to order 1.5 yards more. But in general, if it's up to 27 inches, I would just go up to the next yard up to make sure that you have enough.